Hello and welcome to Box Sport. Now tonight we are going to look at lost a lot. Hello, welcome to Box Sport, and tonight we are going to look at stress and panic in the excellent Alien RPG. Now this comes at the suggestion of Velocelot. Thank you, great suggestion. We were thinking about doing this and it's a great idea for a video, so let's have a look. Basically, one of the core mechanics, one of the best things about the Alien RPG game is the stress mechanic, in my humble opinion. It is a lot of fun. So you get this sense of impending doom and stress build up throughout the game. And the beauty of it is, you build stress dice as you play the game as a player. There are ways to reduce it, but it mounts the tension throughout the game. When you hit a situation where you would have a panic roll, you then roll a d6 and add the number of stress dice you've got. But let's go through the basics of the mechanics. First of all, you have got, in the book it says a mounting tension is measured by your stress level. Now you can, your stress level increases by 1 whenever you do a number of things. If you push a skill roll, if you fire a burst of full automatic fire, if you suffer 1 or more points of damage, if you go without sleep, food or water for a prolonged period of time, if you perform coup de grace where you kill somebody or kill something that's injured and incapacitate it, if a scientist in your team fails to use the analysis talent, that's an interesting one, or a member of your team attacks you, somebody nearby turns out to be an android, or you encounter certain creatures or locations or things that the GM puts in as stressful situations. Each time one of those things happens to you, you gain a stress dice. This is a game that's based around a pool mechanic, so you get skill plus attribute, number of dice, and then on top of that you get your stress dice. And these stress dice count as successes. If you roll a 6, they still count as a success, which is a lovely mechanic, because what it means is a little bit of stress helps you out. It actually makes things go better. However, if you roll a 1 or more, 1 or more 1s on your stress dice, you roll for panic. If you witness a friendly character going through certain panic symptoms, you roll a panic. If you're pinned, if you suffer a critical injury, you roll a panic. If you're pinned down by a ranged attack, you roll a panic. If you're attacked by a strange alien creature you've never seen before, guess what? You roll a panic. And occasionally you can just do one for the heck of it. Now, if you roll a if you roll a panic, then what happens is you roll the GM, and I would suggest to do it behind a screen, rolls a d6 and adds the number of stress dice that you've got to that number, and then reads off the table. So, what do these panic rolls look like? Well, basically, if you roll 1 to 6, you keep it together. You're fine. However, if you roll 7, so you roll you roll your d6 and you've added your stress dice and the total comes to 7, you have a nervous twitch. Your stress level and the stress level of all friendly PCs in short range of you increases by 1. This is problematic because what it means is my stress will affect other people's stress. If you roll an 8, you start to tremble. All skill rolls using agility suffer -1 until the panic stops. If you roll a 9, and this is one that I think that I've seen used a few times, as GM have used, you drop an item. Now, with this, I strongly recommend that as a GM, you don't tell them that they've dropped an item. You jot it down behind your screen that they've dropped it, and then whenever they come to use it, they find they've lost it. The other aspect, but you need a cover for that, and basically what happens is their stress level increases by 1. So you can say, well, you get you start to basically get stressed, and your stress level increases by 1. You, as GM, you choose the item, but it can be a weapon or another important item, and you decide which one is the GM. So this becomes quite a powerful tool. If they roll a 10, they freeze. They're frozen by fear or stress for 1 round, and they lose their next slow action. Their stress level and the stress levels of every friendly PC in short range increases by 1. Can you see how this is going to mount up? If they get to an 11, so in my experience, you're looking at people having about 6, 7 stress dice. They then get a seek cover. You must use your next action to move away from the danger, find a safe spot possible. You're allowed to make a retreat roll if you have an enemy at engaged range. Your stress level is decreased by 1, but the stress level of all friendly PCs increases by 1. After 1 round, you can act normally. If they roll 12, they scream their lungs out for 1 round, losing their next slow action. Their stress level is decreased by 1, but every friendly creature or every friendly character who hears your scream must make an immediate panic roll. That is awesome. So you can get them to roleplay that if you want, or you can do it yourself, or you can just say they did it. Now it gets scary at this point. If they get, because freeze can be pretty horrible, and it's fairly low. Because if you're up against an alien, the last thing you want to do is freeze. But if they get 13, they flee. You can't take it anymore. You must flee to a safe space and refuse to leave it. You won't attack anyone and won't attempt anything dangerous. You're not allowed to make a retreat roll. If you have an enemy at engaged range, when you flee, your stress levels decrease by 1, but every friendly character who sees you must make an immediate panic roll. At 14, you get Berserk. You must immediately attack the nearest person or creature, friendly or not. You won't stop until you or the target is broken. Every friendly creature who witnesses your rampage must make an immediate panic roll. So panic's going to spread through your party very quickly if you're not careful. At 15 plus, you are catatonic. You collapse to the ground, can't talk or move, and you stare blankly into oblivion. At that point, you're really in trouble, because in some situations, you're going to really struggle. So, what does all of that look like? Well, basically what it means is, there's a point, and you see it in a game, where the panic rolls are not a big deal. Where actually getting stress dice is advantageous to you. Managing stress in this game is a really important skill. Then there comes a point where that stress builds up to a point that actually it's now dangerous. And it suddenly can flip the game right around, and it can make it into something very exciting and very good fun, to be honest. Now, relieving stress, I haven't used this too much with my parties, but now I'll let you know what you can do. So for every full turn, 5 to 10 minutes spent resting in a safe space that's secured from enemies, as far as you know, your stress level is reduced by 1 point. You can't make any skill rolls, and if your rest is interrupted, it doesn't count. A panic roll can also decrease stress, as we can see from what we went through in the table, as can certain drugs. Now, once per act in cinematic play, and once per game session in campaign play, you can also interact with your signature item in some way to reduce your stress level 1 step. This typically requires a slow action. So, actually, what these do is these allow you to get that stress down to that point, which is helpful. If you have rolled a result of 13 or higher, a panic roll must be, in a panic roll during a game session, you must make an empathy roll after that session. Roll for the attribute only, not using any skill. If the roll succeeds, you develop a permanent mental trauma of some kind. Roll a d6 and consult the table on page 101. And permanent mental trauma can include things like a phobia, alcoholism, nightmares, depression, drug use, or amnesia, and these are pretty formidable at times. And it's so, yeah. It's pretty good. Now, that's one aspect of stress. In space, what is clever isn't they also have stress. So space combat, there's also panic rules. So if you push things, you're increasing your stress level. But also in space combat, you can get a panic roll. And here, a 7 gives you a nervous twitch, and your stress level and stress level of everybody in the compartment increases by 1. You can get trembling, just the same. Ignore orders. You can't concentrate and lose track of your surroundings for the coming turn, and you will not take any orders except help or discuss anything with anyone, and your stress level increases by 1. You can get a 10, you get hysterical calm chatter. Your stress level decreases by 1, but everybody else's increases by 1. Who hears it? 11 to 12, you get freeze, and it's the same. 13, you run safety, and you run somewhere on the ship. 14, abandon ship, you're overcome by terror and have to leave the ship. You run to the nearest escape pod and activate it. If your ship has no escape vehicle, you get into a compression suit and leave through an airlock. That's terrifying. And then maximum overload is at 15 plus. The horror is too much. You lose all control and overload your station, critically damaging it. Lose your next action, check the major component table depending on your position in the ship, and then you can actually damage your own ship. All this stuff all together adds a heck of a lot of flavour to this game. And this is why I think the stress dice are awesome. Because they give you this overwhelming sense of tension and panic in the game every now and again. And whenever you get to a point where they make you think. So in so many role-playing games, it becomes a mindless thing. You walk into the room and search it. Do this and do that. Attack this person. Don't it? You constantly just do it automatically because there's easy ways to win the game. In Alien RPG, it does not feel like that. It feels like, actually, I'm reluctant to roll dice at certain points because I know one of those horrible things can happen to me. And some of them can be downright terrifying. They can really destroy the party's progress. And it's not just that it'll affect my character, it'll affect everybody's character. For some of those ones, I roll a panic, and so does my buddy over there. And we can end up with, in one roll, several of us sitting catatonically looking into the distance. This is a very, very effective mechanism in the game. I really like it. It's a fantastic little play. Couple of top tips that I've learned. Number 1, keep a pool of dice that are different colours as GM and give the dice out, because actually it means it's easy for people to keep a track and it's easy for you to keep a track. So something that's distinctive colour. I use dark purple dice that are just quite small. It means I can see them on the table, and it means they're easy to check. I also would recommend, like I said, this business of noting down whenever people drop items, what they are, and don't tell them there and then. Tell them when they need them. That makes it so much more fun. It really does, and it scares the heck out of them. Adds that tension again. Encourage play. You're going to get players who are a bit blasé at the beginning of the game about just going and investigating everything and going here and going there. And you want to introduce tension as a GM, so use follow the lead of Hadley's Last Hope in the book, follow the lead of that and actually start to put in some things that are obvious things you want to check, but there's risk involved, and the risk is panic dice or stress dice. So you know, you turn somebody around, you discover that their face isn't there. You know, those kind of creepy, horrific moments that will freak people out and will actually have really get them, oh my goodness, what's happening, and starts to flip the game around, starts to give it that tension and that horrific tension that this game thrives on. And that's what you're really after with the stress dice. You're really after mounting up that stress, building up that tension, so that whenever they get to the point of the big climax in the session, they're tense. That's what you're after. So you want your players to be, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And then that kind of almost, that kind of fear factor is massive in this game. And stress dice is a really nice mechanism for getting it. I love it. I love the fact that they've got the space combat one, so that if you're in combat, you could end up blowing up your own station, with panic, which is just fantastic. So I heartily recommend this game. As you know, if you watch this channel, we're doing more and more content on it, because it's actually a really good game with a lot more depth than I anticipated, actually, as I've dug into it more and more and run more games with it. So we are going to be doing a few more sort of videos about how it works, and one of the next videos I want to do is how to set up a campaign, because that's what I'm doing at the minute, and I'm working on a campaign, and just sort of like what that looks like. It's a really good fun game. If you don't want to miss any of the content, the best way to do that is to subscribe to our channel. So if you subscribe to the channel, you get an update so you don't miss anything. We've also got a playlist of Alien RPG stuff, so check that out. We are a completely independent channel, I have to say that, which means that everything that we review or unbox or talk about is stuff that we've bought with our own hard-earned pence. Having said that, there are ways you can support the channel and help us to thrive and bring more product to the table and discuss more stuff. Subscribing really helps, because we can get a little bit from commercial whenever we hit 1,000, which would be awesome, or from YouTube whenever we hit 1,000, which would be lovely. Only be a little bit, but hey, every little counts. We have some t-shirts on Teespring. The link is down below, and they're kind of quirky RPG and gaming t-shirts. Have a look at them, as well as the official sort of stuff like this. Also, we have got Patreon, and that is something we're going to develop over the next year or so. At the minute, we've got, I think it's $1, just $1 a month. That really helps us out to keep everything going and to keep in business, or to keep bringing stuff to the table. Every pound that we get, we reinvest into the channel, and you'll see it on screen in some shape, form, or description. So everything goes back into the channel. But yeah, that's us. And it'd be brilliant if you subscribed. It'd be brilliant if you bought a t-shirt. Check them out, see what you think. But I would hardly recommend, the most brilliant thing you can do of all is check out Alien RPG. Get your hands on a copy of the book and have an absolute ball with your mates. Anyway, that's me. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.